The bank that shook the world. Lehman Brothers Downfall. When Goliath falls, the tremors are felt around the world. Lehman Brothers, once a solitary giant of Wall Street, is also known as a corporate equivalent of a charming con artist. Too big to fail. Oh, the irony. Lehman Brothers wasn't born into financial royalty. It was a self-made type. It was a story that spanned over 150 years. Born in 1850 from the ambitions of brothers Henry and Emmanuel Lehman, the company started as a humble cotton trading business in Alabama. The firm quickly seized an opportunity in the growing railroad sector. Their gamble on railroad bonds in the late 19th century catapulted them into the financial big leagues. It morphed over time into Lehman Brothers, a titan of investment banking that straddled continents. A staggering legacy of nearly 160 years, a testament to the company's mettle and adaptability. Or at least, that's how it played out, until their jaw-dropping downfall. Lehman Brothers was a seasoned player, weathering storms such as wars, recessions, and even the Great Depression. Lehman Brothers was an emblem of American resilience and success in the face of adversity. It was a beacon of stability in a world of volatile markets and fickle investors. Through it all, Lehman Brothers emerged stronger, adapting and evolving, proving its mettle time and again. Among the titans of this world stood Lehman Brothers, the fourth largest investment bank in the U.S., as integral to the fabric of Wall Street as the ticker tape. At its zenith, Lehman Brothers boasted a mind-boggling $680 billion in assets, a sum so preposterous that it was hard for the average person to comprehend. But the company's balance sheet hid a sinister secret, a fatal poison that would slowly corrode the foundations of this global financial giant. Meet Jack, a fresh-faced recruit at Lehman Brothers, giddy with the prospect of being part of something big, something monumental. He was one among the many in Lehman's army, blissfully unaware of the shaky ground upon which they stood. Then there's Mary, a retired school teacher from Colorado, who entrusted her life savings to Lehman Brothers, drawn by their seemingly unshakable reputation. You think you're depositing your hard-earned savings into a rock-solid fortress of a bank. But what if that fortress is just a facade, a mirage? When compared to its Wall Street peers, Lehman Brothers was certainly playing a different game. While Morgan Stanley and Goldman Sachs were diversifying their portfolios, Lehman was doubling down on mortgages. Housing prices were on a tear, and Lehman was riding the wave, hoping to outrun the ticking time bomb beneath its feet. By the turn of the century, Lehman Brothers was a financial powerhouse, albeit not the biggest nor the brightest. It was always the fourth largest, an unsung hero amid Wall Street's elite club. Still, the bank revealed its underdog status, using it as a springboard to ambitious, audacious strategies. Their strategy was a simple one: bigger risks, bigger rewards. Leveraging heavily on the burgeoning subprime mortgage market, Lehman Brothers seemed to have unlocked the cheat code to rapid, unprecedented growth. This remarkable growth had a secret ingredient, a not-so-secret now, hidden in plain sight on their balance sheet. The Repo 105 transactions, an accounting maneuver as cryptic as it sounds, allowed Lehman to sell assets just before a quarterly report, only to buy them back immediately after. This short-term borrowing mechanism proved to be Lehman's double-edged sword, a catalyst for growth in good times and a ticking time bomb in the bad. Beneath this veneer of success, there lurked a burgeoning crisis. Few outside the glass and steel towers of Wall Street could fathom the extent of the brewing storm. The first whispers of suspicion were faint, almost inaudible amidst the clamor of Wall Street's unabated triumph. Lehman Brothers, the ever-present underdog, was not only keeping pace with Wall Street's finest, but outpacing them. It was a performance that was, quite frankly, too good to be true. Lehman Brothers had become a master magician, making billions of dollars in liabilities disappear with a flick of a pen. As whispers turned into murmurs and murmurs into a deafening roar, the extent of Lehman's audacity came to light. A report by the court-appointed examiner, Anton Arvaloukas, would reveal that Lehman had moved $50 billion off its balance sheet in 2008 alone. The intention was as clear as day: to mislead investors and creditors about their financial health. Imagine looking in the mirror and sucking in your stomach to appear slimmer. Now imagine doing that with $50 billion. The revelation was a sobering wake-up call for Wall Street. Lehman Brothers, the underdog darling, was now the subject of a widespread scandal. Its bold strides, once applauded, were now seen as reckless steps towards the precipice. As the Securities and Exchange Commission and the Federal Reserve Bank launched investigations, the extent of Lehman's deception became apparent. The firm had been playing Russian roulette with the financial markets, with millions of unsuspecting investors caught in the crossfire. No longer a paragon of resilience and innovation, Lehman Brothers was now the subject of legal scrutiny. Its balance sheet manipulations, once a secret confined to the mahogany panel boardrooms, were now headlines on every financial news outlet. The legal consequences were swift and ruthless. In June 2010, the SEC announced it would be penalizing Lehman Brothers executives for their hand in the financial debacle. Richard Ford, the CEO, was at the heart of the storm, a figure whose audacious risk-taking had transformed from an asset to a liability overnight. From Wall Street's golden boy to its most infamous villain, Ford's journey was a spectacular fall from grace. Or should we say, a plummet. The deception was as brazen as it was intricate. Lehman Brothers, it turned out, was not just manipulating the Repo 105 transactions, but was also using another gimmick: Repo 108 transactions. These allowed Lehman to classify even more short-term loans as sales, further enhancing their financial wizardry. Just when you thought the rabbit hole couldn't get any deeper, Lehman Brothers hands you a shovel. The consequences of this manipulation were like ripples in a pond, spreading far and wide. Lehman's employees, like our fresh-faced recruit Jack, found their careers in free fall. And for individuals like Mary, a retired school teacher who had invested her life savings, it was a crushing blow. Turns out, when you play with fire, it's not just your fingers that get burned. The internal dynamics of Lehman Brothers were in turmoil as the firm scrambled to salvage its reputation. Its employees were left to grapple with the reality of their employer's duplicity. The bank that had once commanded respect and admiration was now a symbol of unchecked greed and deception. With the veil lifted, the once mighty Lehman Brothers looked less like a titan of Wall Street and more like a street magician who'd run out of tricks. The financial impact was no less than a punch to the gut of the world economy. On September 15, 2008, Lehman Brothers filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection. With $639 billion in assets and $619 billion in debt, it was the largest bankruptcy filing in U.S. history. Bankruptcies are never fun, but when they are record-breaking, they make for one heck of a fireworks display. On Wall Street, Lehman's downfall sent shockwaves through the markets. The Dow Jones Industrial Average plummeted over 500 points on the day of the announcement, its largest one-day drop since the 9/11 attacks. Criminal charges followed swiftly. In 2010, the SEC filed a lawsuit against former CEO Richard Fuld and other Lehman executives, accusing them of misleading investors about Lehman's financial health. The suit was settled for $90 million, paid not by the defendants, but by Lehman's insurance companies. So Fuld and his gang danced their way out of jail, leaving their insurer to foot the bill. Makes you wonder who the real criminals are. The societal impact was far-reaching. Millions of individuals, from the working-class Joe in Michigan to pensioner Mary in Florida, saw their investments evaporate. The global economy teetered on the brink of disaster, triggering the Great Recession. The U.S. unemployment rate soared to 10% in October 2009, its highest level since the early 1980s. Turns out, when a bank the size of Lehman Brothers goes down, it doesn't go down alone. It takes the global economy along for the ride. As we turn the page to the final chapter, we're left grappling with the enormity of the catastrophe. We seek not just closure, but also lessons for the future. A disaster of this magnitude forces us to reflect, to examine the rubble and make sense of the chaos. The scandal was not just about one bank's recklessness, but about an entire system's failure to commit to stricter regulations and renewed financial ethics. The story of Lehman Brothers is a stark reminder that those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. In the wake of Lehman's catastrophe, the world of finance was forever changed. Wall Street was no longer the invincible fortress, and too big to fail was now a fallacy. Banks faced stringent regulations with the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform and Consumer Protection Act signed into law in 2010. And thus, Wall Street got a new rule book, one that didn't include hide and seek with billions of dollars. As for Richard Fuld, his kingdom reduced to ruins. He faded from the limelight, carrying the ignominious tag of the man who brought down Lehman Brothers. A lesson, perhaps, on the perils of unchecked ambition and reckless greed. From Wall Street titan to the face of its biggest downfall, Fuld's fall was as steep as it was swift. Reflection is often the balm to disaster, and the Lehman Brothers saga gave us plenty to reflect upon. The lesson: the world of finance needed to reorient itself, to strike a balance between profitability and integrity. It is a call to rebuild, rethink, and most importantly, reform. In the end, the story of Lehman Brothers is a tale of ambition, failure, and the long road to reform. It's a narrative that will be etched into the annals of financial history, not as a celebration of success, but as a stark warning of the costs of reckless pursuit of profit. A warning that reverberates through the hallowed halls of Wall Street to this day.